Well, let's talk about bubbles, shall we? I know we used to talk about the real estate markets in a bubble. Then they talked about way before that, basically the stock market was in a bubble back in 2000, or the tech market was in a bubble, and even talked about silver and gold being a bubble. Actually, everything, it's not in the final bubble, that's for sure. But let me just talk about what's in the current bubble right now, and it's the bond market. It's the bond market. See, what happens is we go from one bubble to another, and it's a bubble economy. I should just state that's exactly what it is. It's just a bubble economy, and they don't know what to do. So if it goes from, we had in the United States, but basically it's going on everywhere in the world. But it's not just limited to the United States. It's not just limited to Europe. It's not. China's got major problems, and they have major problems in the shadow banking system. But it's actually coming from Deutsche Bank strategist. Has issued a new major report, and it's actually stating kind of like what we already know, but it says over the last couple decades, the global economy has rolled from bubble to bubble, with excesses never fully allowed to unravel. Now, doesn't that sound familiar? It's like, hey, we're sitting in a seat here, and we think everything's just fine, but it's not. And I know everybody in the silver and gold market pretty much realizes what's going on. We're not, looking at everything through, a bubble. But, we realize that, what's going to happen, and that's why people have silver and gold. But what actually was going on is, for instance, well, when we actually had the bubble in the 70s, even with the, the gold and the silver going up, and basically when they raised interest rates greatly, it broke that bubble. But then eventually it started going into the stock market, and then in 2000 it went exponentially high. And then from there, when that crashed, and it went into the real estate market. Well, basically now it's in a bond market, and it's the final bubble. But when's it going to crash? Really, nobody knows. Nobody knows when this is going to happen. But the thing is, we've been going from, it's been their policy to just keep the economy inflated one way or the other. But basically, it's never been allowed, any bubble has never been allowed to fully unravel. And, everybody's just sitting back waiting for, hey, good times, no problem, right? I mean, that's their average person. I mean, not these silver and gold people. They do realize what's going on. But don't hold your breath for this bubble to break. It may not break for a while. It may take a few years. But the final bubble actually is the bond market, and it's not going to just be the dollar that's going to go down. It's, and actually, when I look at it, I don't think the dollar is going to go away. The dollar is going to go down, and it's probably still going to be the currency of the United States. That's what I think is at least currently planned by them. Plans can change, but the planners that be, whatever you want to call them, I think they're still going to keep the dollar. It's just that you're going to need a hell of a lot more of them to pay for everything. But it's going to cause widespread, in other words, all the power is going to go into the hands of the few. Including it's not going to be like, the United States is the evil one, or Europe's the evil one, or Russia's the evil one, or China, or whatever. It's all of them. It's all of them, actually. And, actually the only place that actually has any vestige of freedom left where people can roll up their sleeves and fix it is in the USA, but there are just too many people getting involved with giddy rumors and stuff. But basically, it's where the final place where the bubble has migrated to is bonds. And that's it. That's it. When that blows up, it's not going to be a pretty financial reset. I know there's been people on Silver and Gold channel saying, oh, yeah, it's like they make it sound like a walk in the park. Actually, if there's a major financial meltdown in the bond market, that's going to mean the collapse of governments. It's going to mean wars. It's going to mean total social upheaval. I hate to say this, but that's what it'll mean. So I hate people telling you, I don't want this to happen, but it looks like they've never really allowed things to naturally take their course of action where there's an up and a down. Everything's been keep the economy going, so they create new bubbles. The final bubble is actually going to be the bond market, and this is basically like, Jimi Hendrix warned, had castles in sand, talked about castles in sand of sand. They wash into the sea eventually. Well, basically, we got a castle in the sky, and that's basically what it is. They made a castle in the sky, and it's held up by a hot air balloon, and it's going to come down. I mean, don't hold your breath for this to come down. It could be some years. Nobody really knows when this is going to happen. I think the markets are going to come down pretty soon, but it's a normal cycle of events. But what they'll do is they'll do more stimulation. That's what will happen. But I just don't, I hate to paint a gloomy picture, but it's like these jerks on the top that are playing this game. Actually, what happens is when all the government bond bubbles break, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Everything's being held up by, an illusion of money. And it's not really money. It's basically everybody's in debt up to their eyeballs. And you could say Russia isn't, but, the problem is Russia's all interconnected with the West. They sell oil to the West. And the other thing is their banking system itself is actually very unstable, and that's why the oligarchs invest in the West. So let me put it to you that way, because I know there's a lot of people of this theory about, the West is going to have these problems and everything, and it probably does, but it's going to be across the board. And, unfortunately, I wish the giddy people would roll up their sleeves and fix things, and concentrate more on fixing things instead of getting behind false leaders on the other side of the world, because you got to be your own leader and fix the problem. But we do have a problem with the bond bubble. It's not going to break tomorrow. Nobody knows when it's going to break. It could take several years, but this is the final deal. And your silver and gold may go way up, but at the same time, we might have a lot of social upheaval. If the currency goes down bad, people are it's not gonna be a safe thing. I'd rather see silver go up and gold go up, and not go up too much, and the world be pretty steady. But I don't think it's going to work out that way. So anyway, not that I'm a pessimist, I'm just being a realist. But that's the final bubble, the bond bubble. So just want to put this out, because actually it's coming out from Deutsche Bank. They got a new major study about it, and they know what's going on. I mean, they're saying what we all know. So there you go.